most of you know the League is a nonpartisan political organization. Political because we encouraged citizens to become involved in their government in an informed way. We're nonpartisan because the League does not support a particular candidate. Some of our members do, of which you're well aware, but as a League, we do not support a candidate. Now, we've had candidates forums for many, many years. This may be the first one we've had for a runoff election, which is exciting for us. We do that as a way to help you be more informed, to help you make a better choice for the candidates. We also publish a voter's guide. It was in an issue of the Dallas Morning News in Neighbors Go in April. I'm not sure that any of those are still at the libraries. We have a few here tonight, and you can access the information by going to our website, lwvtexas.org, clicking on local leagues and then us. That information is on your program. The program also includes a lot of other information about dates, times, places. We hope you'll use that information and share it with your friends. We're pleased to have our co-sponsors, the Greater Irving Las Colinas Chamber of Commerce and the Las Colinas Association. See our logos. We thank them for helping us out and supporting us. We thank the city for letting us meet here again. This is a great place to have a forum. We thank ICTN for broadcasting us live tonight and repeating the forum several times. That information is also on your program. Share that with your friends. If they couldn't be here tonight, say, oh, I know where you could see the program. I'd also like to encourage you to remember that when you go vote, all of us vote for the mayor. Only those who live in District 3 get to vote for the District 3 candidates. However, they all have the best of the city in their plans. So listen carefully to the District 3 candidates tonight, even if you may not live in their district. And now I'd like to introduce our moderator for tonight. Some of you already know her, Jill Martinez, a League member, and she's going to explain to you about the guidelines and how we're going to hope that the evening will go. So thank you. Sit back and listen smartly.
Thank you, Mona. I'm going to describe the format for this forum. First of all the runoff candidates were invited to attend, and they all agreed to attend, and we're very thankful for that. Each candidate will have an opportunity to make a 2-minute opening and a 2-minute closing statement. Each candidate will have 4 questions. They'll have 3 minutes to answer each question. We will have, all candidates will answer the first 2 questions, and after that we will have 2 questions designed specifically for the District 3 candidates, and then two questions designed specifically for the mayoral candidates. And we're going to alternate the order of the responses, so it's, somebody who answers first this time will answer last the next time. We've encouraged the candidates to respond to the questions, discussing their plans if elected, and not to disparage their opponents. And audience members, you have a responsibility as well. We know that many of you are enthusiastic about your candidates, but please refrain from disrupting their questions and answers by applauding or cheering or booing. This is intended to be a respectful, informative forum and not a campaign rally. We have 2 timekeepers, Genevieve Ramos and Jan Killen, and they've got they're going to be the timekeepers, and they've got signs they're going to be holding up when we hit 30 seconds. Correct? So 30 and 10. And candidates, I'll ask that you be mindful that your time is up. You'll be able to finish your sentence, but please don't start a new paragraph, okay? The candidates are seated in ballot order. For District 3, we have Dennis Webb and David Gutierrez. Our mayoral candidates are Herbert Gears and Beth Van Dyne. Again, we thank you all for coming and participating. Now we'll start with opening statements. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes. The order is going to be Dennis Webb will go first, David Gutierrez, Herbert Gears, and Beth Van Dyne. So, Dennis, if you'd like to start with your 2-minute opening, please.
Thank you. For those of you who do not know by now, my name is Dennis Webb. I'm running for City Council, Place 3. I am 52 years old. I am a firefighter by profession for the city of Grand Prairie, where I've been working for 28 years. I've been a lieutenant for 15 years. I'm married. I have 3 children, 3 grandchildren. I live in District 3. I've been living in District 3 for about 29 years. I live in the same house that I had built when I was 23 years old, and I plan to stay there until the Lord called me home. I'm also the pastor of the Bear Creek Community Church, which is located on Finley Road in the old Irving Bible Church building that some of you may know. I've been pastoring that church for 15 years. I started that church in my den. I have been actively involved in the city of Irving. I have a passion for this city. I have served on the Planning and Zoning Commission for the city of Irving. I did a full term. I was reappointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission last November. I resigned when I ran for this office. I'm also one of 2 of Irving's representatives on the Community Service Block Grant Board for the Urban League of Greater Dallas. James Dickens is the other. We represent Irving's needs. I'm also the president of the Bear Creek Development Corporation, which is a community housing development organization that builds affordable housing. We're one of several CHODOs in the city of Irving. We're actually the first CHODO, and we built about 60 houses out in what's called the Bear Creek community. I have decided to run, I decided to run for city council many years ago. I was talked out of it by a man by the name of John Danish, who told me basically at this point in your life, you're really not ready for it. I listened to his advice, learned a lot about the city, and now I'm ready to serve as District 3's city council representative. So I would appreciate your vote for those of you that live in District 3.
Thank you much, Mr. Webb. Mr. Gutierrez?
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, but first I want to say thank you to all of those that have been very helpful to me, that have been supportive, that have been out there helping me a lot. I do appreciate that very much. It's a godsend, and I let God take care of it, and He's doing His job, and I appreciate that very much, very sincerely from the bottom of my heart. My name is David Gutierrez. I came here to live in Irving in 1987, and since 1987 I established a small business off of Briery, and I've been in that location since then. Since then, my business has developed, and it's developed into what it is today. Number one is that I am a fifth-generation Texan. I have an undergraduate degree and a major in biology, a minor in chemistry. I was a chemist for 15 years before I decided to jump into the political arena. At that time, that's when I also went full-time on my business, and that was back in '96. So my business has been up and down, but since '96, my business has been my life. And also, I am a Vietnam veteran. I'm a Marine, and I've served also with the Texas Army National Guard. As serving, I serve my country, as I will serve the city of Irving as well. I love my country, and I love this city. I love the people, because I can see now, and before that, how beautiful we all are, how we all can live together and do things together for the city to make our city great. I want to say also for the people in District 3 that I will be your representative. I will take care, especially everybody involved. But from a small business point, I want to say that I'm looking forward to working with the small businesses here in Irving, and try to develop them, try to help them out, and to try to develop themselves, and to also be able to secure jobs for the people that live here in the city of Irving. I want to thank you very much. June 18 is the day that I want you to remember for David Gutierrez. I appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I remind the audience that we would to please withhold your applause. Thank you. Mr. Gears?
I appreciate that. Thanks, Jill and Mona, to the League of Women Voters, the Chamber, and the Las Colinas Association. Of course, it's been an honor to serve this community in the last 6 years in this role. I'm proud, you know, that in this role you represent Irving. There's a lot that all of us have to be proud of with who we are and what we accomplish and what we do. You know, we feel like we've made decisions and attended to business as necessary to try to make Irving a better place to live, a more financially strong city, a safer city, a place that we can all appreciate and be proud of, and that's what we have here. You know, we continue to grow. We're in the top 1% in cities and size in the United States of America, so we have every opportunity, every challenge that every big city has across the country, and we do quite well. You know, we excel in areas that matter. You know, we've had dramatic reductions in crime rates. We have the lowest tax rates that you can find in any full-service city. You know, in Texas, we maintain affordable utilities with water bills and the different types of things that matter, you know, to families. And we do it in a smart way, you know, and it's not only us that gets the benefit and feels the benefit of that. We're also noticed by those who matter, the financial rating agencies, the professionals, you know, that rate our United States government. They also rate cities, and we're one of only 2 cities in the state of Texas that achieves a double AAA rating from financial rating agencies. And we get those types of achievements because we manage our debt well. We have no unfunded debt. We manage our finances well. And we preserve our resources, and still we continue to grow and improve city services. And we succeed even in tough economic times when you see other cities pulling back on what they provide the citizens in the community. And we've been able to avoid that, and that's been because of good, solid management and good leadership. And I think it's very important that we maintain the path that we've been on that creates jobs. We have 220,000 jobs in Irving, more than we have people. So that helps us keep the taxes low on the citizens, and I hope you'll support me in this very important runoff election. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Van Dyne?
Well, I want to appreciate all of you for coming tonight and for, you know, really staying the course. I know it's really hard after a regular election to have to come back out for a runoff. And again, thank you to all my volunteers who are staying the course as well. I'm a 25-year resident of the city of Irving. I moved here with my parents, and my parents still live in the same house, actually, that they bought 25 years ago. We live right down the street from my parents. Yeah, there's my son, he's rocking me on. And my sister actually lives in my sister and her new husband, congratulations, they just got married on Saturday. They live in my neighborhood as well. And we have a very, very strong family unit. And without their support, I could never be able to do what I've done in the past and what I'm asking to do in the future. I'm a Cornell graduate. I graduated magna cum laude. I put myself through college. I worked 3 years before college. I've worked for some very large Fortune 500 companies, including Verizon in Irving. I have worked for the largest, I guess it's one of the top 3 largest PR firms recently, Burson Marsteller, and actually I was an executive with LSG Sky Chefs, which is based in Irving. I love what I do. I loved being able to represent the citizens of the city of Irving for 6 years. While I was on this council, I fought for strong community involvement. I fought against increased taxes and additional fees and unnecessary fees. I fought for strong economic development. I fought for accountability. And whenever I saw contracts that were being placed in front of us when we didn't have time to read them, I voted against them. When I saw people asking for more money from the city without a long-term sustainable plan, I voted against them. When I saw an opportunity for the city to grow, for stronger code enforcement, for stronger neighborhoods, all of that I support and I continue to support. I think we need to have a city council that works with our schools, because if you listen to the business community, you'll find that that is one of their major concerns. We want to make sure that people who work here can live here. And I would love to be able to make sure that my kids want to stay here. It's fantastic to have several generations, and I know I've heard from a lot of you, and a lot of you have been here for several generations, and you have concerns. From the moment that I got on the city council, I wanted to represent you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this first question is for all candidates. Again, you'll have 3 minutes to respond. Do we have the questions to put up on the screen? There we go. Okay. Tell us at least 2 reasons, excluding the entertainment center. We'll ask questions about that later. Why the voters of Irving or your district should elect you to represent them on the city council. We'll start first with Ms. Van Dyne.
Well, as I've said, you know, I'm a very strong fiscal conservative. And I think one of the first things that we need to get to the bottom is how we spend our money, which we all need to recognize that sit in these seats, that it's your money that we're spending. We need to get down to the bottom of where we're spending our money, who's getting paid, and for what. We have several consultants who we are currently paying hundreds of thousands, some millions of dollars. We need to get to the bottom of whether or not they're actually working for their money. I would love to be able to stand in front of you and say everything that happened for the 6 years that I was on city council was exactly what you wanted. Unfortunately, that's not the case. At the end of the day, when I can look at myself in the mirror, and I know that there was a lot of 8-1 votes, I know there's a lot of 7-2 votes, and a lot of times I was on the losing end of those, but I stood by my convictions, I asked questions, and I really represented what I heard that the citizens wanted. I am full in support of having a much more transparency on the city council. One of the first things that I would like to see our city do is actually have an ethics agreement, an ethics policy that council members and the mayor would sign, that if you have companies, if you have individuals who have a business with the city that are getting paid anything, you don't take campaign contributions from them, and you don't go out to expensive dinners, and you don't take trips with them. Dallas has it. I don't see that we should have anything less than that. I believe that you need to have somebody who's accountable, that you need to hold not only city staff accountable, but you also need to hold developers accountable, that when you have people who are getting paid, who are in line to get checks from the city, that you know that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I have a very strong business track record of being able to do that. I used to work for several startup companies, and I still do consulting. And for all of those companies, I have been able to produce. I would like to do the same for the city. We need somebody, considering that our tax base is nearly 70% business, we need somebody who understands that, somebody who has worked, and somebody who has a history of being able to look at contracts, decipher them, and ask questions, and not just vote yes every single time. I would love to be able to have the city council and the mayor's office be able to work with other cities and not just take everything personal and put other cities down. I think we have a strong representation within the Metroplex. We are located halfway between Dallas and Fort Worth. We have some of the largest Fortune 500 companies in the area, and we really need to be accountable for them. So, okay, then now I saw the seconds. I didn't see that last time. But like I said, for 6 years, I've got a track record. When people ask me, well, how do you feel on an issue? How do you feel on an issue? The fact is that for 6 years, I was in a leadership position. I was consistent. And here's what I told everybody at the end of the day. There will be times when we disagree. I will always be straight with you, tell you how I'm considering voting and what it's based on. And it doesn't matter what audience that I'm addressing. It will always be a consistent message. Thank you.
Mr. Gears?
Well, you know, certainly you want to look at the last 6 years at what we've been able to accomplish serving in this role. We take on huge projects. You know, we've made great progress in redeveloping older parts of Irving. You know, for the first time, we've been tearing down substandard apartments in our community, and that's been forever known to be one of the most serious threats, you know, to the quality of life in Irving. You know, we were noted in the Dallas Morning News as the most innovative approach. We were on the front page of the New York Times. We were recognized by the entire nation for our illegal immigration solution. We accomplished more than any city in America on that issue, and we haven't been sued, and it hasn't cost us a penny. No one's calling us a racist city. Those are the accomplishments that we should be proud of. When you combine that with projects we've engaged in, like on Tudor Lane, we eliminated 80% of the crime on Tudor Lane. That makes a tremendous difference. We're adding new amenities to our community. We're upgrading our city swimming facilities into state-of-the-art aquatic centers. We built the first no-kill city shelter combination in the state of Texas, and now we're widely recognized across the country, you know, for what we're accomplishing in being a no-kill city and adopting out animals instead of euthanizing animals. We've created the first net zero library to serve our citizens. You no longer have to go to storefront libraries. Now you've got a nice new facility that you're proud of that actually generates its own electricity for heating and cooling and contributes back and saves money to the city. You know, we installed the longest stretch of solar-powered street lights throughout the Irving Boulevard corridor. We created a special tax reinvestment program that the city is committed to for the next 30 years to reinvest over $180 million into the Irving Boulevard corridor. So councils from now on in the future will be bound with those opportunities to make a difference. We decided to invest $40 million in South Irving, and we're moving forward on that commitment. We've continued to work with DART to get the DART rail service through the Las Colinas Urban Center. It wasn't originally planned to do that, and on into DFW Airport. We built an exciting, very successful and popular new convention center facility that serves the hospitality industry, puts heads in beds. We have 435 places in Irving that you can get something to eat. We have 3 million people that visit our city a year for various reasons. So we're a very, very large operation, and we've done great work, we think, and shown the citizens of Irving that we will serve this community for the greater good. With all politics aside, we make the decisions that's best for the city, and that's why I'm asking for your support for re-election.
Okay, and now the District 3 candidates will answer the same question. We'll begin with David Gutierrez.
Thank you. Number one, I want the people to vote for me, not because of what of David Gutierrez, but what David Gutierrez is all about. I come from migrant workers. I used to work in the cotton fields. I used to work in picking cherries out in the sun. That's when I was about 15 years old. I was born in Michigan, in Saginaw, Michigan, because my parents were migrant workers at that time. They were picking cherries out there in Michigan. As I was growing up, I began to learn that in order for me to achieve things that I wanted to achieve in life, which were a bit better than where I used to live at, was hard work. And hard work is what I plan to do here for the city of Irving. Hard work, being productive, and being involved. Being proactive is one of the most important things that I have done in any of the organizations that I've been involved here in the city of Irving. When back in 2002, I started with the Irving Hispanic Chamber. We only started with 7 people. And there's some people in here that started with me, and they're still there. For 3 years, I held it, and I held it as their vice chair, as their chairman. And I worked hard for that. I put a lot of things I prioritized my life only to do the best that I could for that organization. As time went on, I also became involved, and I became a part of the board for the health board. Now, the health board is to me, is a big boardship that overtakes. It's an umbrella over the city. Takes care of the city. It's a service organization. I was the vice chair for 3 years out of those 5 years. I was proactive. I got involved. I found things that needed to be done, and I did them. I'm a very analytical person because of my background, from my science background, and I'm very conservative from the standpoint of a business. So yes, I don't believe in raising taxes. I think that the city can do with what we have. I'd like to see with what we have and work with what we have. Do not spend any more than what we have to. Don't buy anything if you can't afford it. Don't buy things if we don't need it. I believe that we need to work with what we have until this city budget becomes to a point that we can really say to our voters and to our districts that it's time for us to be able to buy some things. Nothing else. My business is the same way. Those people that work for me, they work from 8 to 5, and they work for every little minute that they have because they value the job. They value the work. And I expect that the people that I'm going to represent, that they're going to be assured that that's the way I'm going to work for this city. That's the way I want to work for this council. Everything is, to me, I want everything on the table to be accountable before I make a decision, because there's people that counting on me, that put me in this position before I decide what I have to do. And when I do it, I'm going to do it for them. I'm going to do it for the city. Thank you very much.
Well, the first reason I think that people ought to vote for me is because somebody asked me today, about my strategy about running for council. This is my first time ever running for an elected office. And I told them my strategy is simple. Take care of doing the work in the years prior. In other words, pay your dues. And when you look at what a person has been doing, it usually is an indicator of what they're going to continue to do. And one of the reasons why I try to demonstrate or tell people about all the things that I've done in the city is because that's an indicator of what I will be doing in the future. My heart is service. I believe in serving people. I love people. I like people. I don't care what color you are. I like people, and I like serving people. And I've tried to demonstrate that I will serve people. And so I think, first of all, you should put me on the council because you will know that I will represent every single person, whether you're red, yellow, black, or white. It doesn't matter to me. I will serve you. Number two, I have a pretty good knowledge of how the city works. Being on the Planning and Zoning Commission teaches you a lot about how this city works. And so with that knowledge, and also, with the fact that when you start talking about budgets, I pastor a church, and basically when you're dealing with pastoring a church and the administration of a church and the budgeting of a church, you don't have a lot of money to play with, and so basically you have to figure out how to be very fiscally responsible with those funds. And basically I've learned how to do that. Also, basically, living out in the District 3, I've seen that district go from, basically Pioneer Valley non-existing. I used to ride bicycles in Pioneer Valley. And so I understand, and I've seen the growth and development of that area. And so basically I think that some of the concerns that I have about where that area is going, I will be able to best represent District 3. Basically, all I'm saying is that if you look at what I have been doing as far as serving the city, then you will see a man who is committed to serving this city. And basically, I think that's what you want. This is a position of service. When you start talking about the city council, you're talking about taking a position that is a thankless job, taking a position whereby you're criticized by every decision you make because you're going to, disappoint somebody. Taking your life, turning it upside down, taking your family, putting them under a lot of stress. But then when I stop and think about all of that, I still said, yes, I want to do this because I think with all of my experience and leadership, my compassion for service, I can really help this city continue to move forward in the future. And so that's, I guess, the reason why you ought to vote me, City Council, Place 3.
Great. Thank you all. Can we put up the next question, please? Question number 2. With city revenues projected to recover slowly, what actions will you champion or support to ensure that the city remains vibrant? And we will start with Mr. Webb. This is for all candidates, by the way.
Okay. Well, first of all, in order for the city to remain vibrant, I think there's several things that's got to happen. Number one, like anybody, the tax base has got to stay as low as we can keep it. I am a realist. I will never tell you that I'll never raise your taxes. One thing about me, I'm going to be honest with you up front. There are some times that the city has got to raise the taxes because that's one of the main revenues in the city. Number two, I would also work to ensure that, this 70% tax base that we have, that we benefit from, I will work very hard to make sure that we keep that. And that we keep it, and one way you do it is through the Greater Irving Los Colinas Chamber of Commerce. They are the ones that are going out talking day to day with businesses, helping us retain business, helping us get businesses who are the ones that are footing basically our tax bill. You got to have vision. I'm the type of person, you got to have vision. You got to be willing to take chances. You got to be willing to take risks. You look at any city that is a vibrant city, they took risk and they did things that other cities were not willing to do. And so I'm that type of person. I took a risk on starting a church. And basically it has blossomed, it has grown. But that was a risk. It was a risk to go from First Baptist Church, where we actually paid nothing as far as overhead, to a facility whereby we had about an $8,000 a month overhead with the same group. That was a risk, but it paid off. And I know a lot of times we as citizens, you know, we do not want to take risk, but everybody who's ever been successful, they were risk takers. And I think that same mindset has got to apply in order for a city to be vibrant. And if Irving wants to continue to grow and to compete with cities like South Lake, Frisco, Arlington, all those places, we just cannot sit on our heels and decide that we're just not going to do nothing. And so we got to look at all of the ways that we can think out the box and do things that other cities are not doing, and beat them to the punch, so that the revenue streams and the growth and the attention that we get will help this city to continue to be a vibrant city. We have a great city. And if you really was to look at, you know, the things that this city really has as far as economic development, you will be surprised. You know, I'm not going to get into the political, you know, stuff, but I'm going to tell you, you know, when all of this is over with and everybody get through with all their political stuff, then go research and take a look at your city from an economic standpoint and see how great a city that you really have. And I want to help ensure that we continue to have a great city. But again, we as citizens, all of us are going to have to come together and make this a great city. We have a great city staff. The reason that Irving is enjoying a lot of what is enjoying, it ain't the council, it's the staff workers. It's the people at the Irving Convention and Visitors Bureau. It's all these people who are doing the work that usually the council either get the credit or the blame for. And so basically, I just believe that if we just stay the course, then we'll do fine.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gutierrez is next.
Well, I will support, number one, is establishing committees or already speaking to some of the organizations that are active in bringing revenue, businesses, real estate, associations, anything that has to do with the revenue for the city. I don't want to say that it would be time for us to go ahead and start making projections that we're going to have to start working on this project or working on another project from this side of town or whatever it needs to be. I look at it, if things are coming to recovery, then I would like to find out exactly how this money that is coming to recovery is going to be spent. We have quite a bit of other issues here in the city that I will look at to make sure that we don't move into using these revenues if they're coming in, that we're going to go ahead and do expenditures. I would like to see this recovery go to the point that it is totally recovered before we decide how these expenditures or what we can spend or what the city can spend or not can spend. Again, I look at this from a business standpoint. If my business or anybody else's business is bringing in money, we're not going to go just and start buying materials, start investing, or start doing whatever we need to do in order to get the business going. I'm an individual that takes whatever I have at hand to make a business go. I'm an initiative. I take the precautions, and I would do the same thing for the city. This is monies that don't belong to me, that don't belong to the city council, but belongs to you. And with that in mind, we have to be respectful of that. We have to think of how we're going to move with the revenues that are coming. And like I said, I do support the committees or even some of the agencies already that are responsible or are there for the city to give the city information about revenues coming in. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Gears.
I appreciate that. I have to disagree a little bit with the statement is that sales tax revenues are up about 6.5% to 7%. Hot tax revenues are up about 10%. Both those numbers have been for some consistent periods of time now. However, we continue to see a decline in the value of our commercial tax base, and primarily that's in the Las Colinas area, Las Colinas Urban Center. And the advantage that we always had by having all that Class A office space up there has now diminished because there are other communities like Frisco and Legacy and South Lake and other places that have Class A office space that also have other amenities in the area for the employees that work there. And Beth is right. You know, as you serve in this role, as I've been doing for 6 years, you know, you meet with a lot of professionals. You meet with CEOs of the largest corporations in the world, commonly. And you're talking about the issues that they have, both learning about their business and as well what matters to them about what the city of Irving provides or their relationship with the city. So absolutely it's important, and I've been very, very active, you know, with our Chamber of Commerce in not only attracting new businesses, and we've had great successes. We have 6 Fortune 500 companies with world headquarters in the city of Irving. That's more Fortune 500 companies than 29 states. We are a significant job center with 220,000 jobs, more jobs than we have people. And we've got to maintain that. Now, it's great that the businesses are paying 70% of the taxes. However, just a couple of years ago, they were paying 75% of the taxes. So that's an increased burden on the homeowners that we've got to make sure we reverse, that we don't allow to happen. And these owners of these companies with these hundreds or thousands of employees, you know, in the Las Colinas Urban Center in Williams Square, for example, you know, their leases are up. We have a few million square feet of office leases that are out on the market looking to move out of the urban center right now because there's nothing to do for their employees when they come out for lunch. They've got a 15 or 20-minute drive to get down to MacArthur and 161 or and 114, and then they come back. They don't have time, okay? After work, they have nowhere to go. They have nothing to do. So part of what we have worked on for years in creating this transit-oriented development, taking advantage of the DART rail line and the stations that will be there in the urban center because of what we were able to get accomplished, attends to that need. And I know we'll be talking about the entertainment venue later. We have the convention center that we've built there. We've got about $2.5 to $3 billion worth of projects that are waiting for the arrival of the Orange Line. Okay, that's the kind of work that matters to our future and to our ability, you know, to have this luxury. Most cities, it's the other way around. The residents pay 70% of the taxes. So it's part of the main reason we have the financial strength that we do, and we need to maintain our activities in that regard.
Thank you.
I think the first thing that we need to do is to make sure that we don't have out-of-control debt. That when you look at the $400 million that have been spent over the last few years, our debt has gone from $150 million to $560 million. Companies do not want to come to a city where you've got that much debt. When you look at it, and I know that we're throwing around terms, well, funded or unfunded. Unfunded debt is one thing. Funded debt, I don't know. Debt is debt. And the fact that we say funded debt means that we have identified a revenue stream. But here's the thing. It's not necessarily going to happen. We've got cities all across the country right now that have funded debt, that when the numbers don't come in, when the profits don't come in, that we're counting on because, you know, things happen in the economy, projects are not nearly as successful as we think they're going to be, the city will be on the line for that. What we need to start doing is making sure that if we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars, that we are getting something out of it. We have developers right now that we are spending this much money on. And, you know, we all want development to happen, and that's good. It's positive to bring those types of developments into the city, to bring those types of amenities for our community, for our residents, for our work people. It's brilliant. The fact is I'm sick of looking at the pretty pictures. I want to actually be able to go to these restaurants that we're talking about. I want to be able to go to some of these establishments and do what we've been showing the pretty pictures over and over again. Fact is that we have spent money, and we have seen some good things that have happened out of the city over the last few years. Fact is, if you're spending $400 million, you would hope to see something. It is not sustainable long term. The other thing I think companies want to see is a city that's got a high reputation. I want to get our city off Channel 8 News. I don't want to be investigated anymore for fraudulent business actions. I don't want our city right now to be paying taxpayer money on chauffeurs for developers who are not producing. I think we need to work with our school systems, and we need to be able to use, you know, students are fantastic resources. Why are we not using them and incorporating them in with some of our communities? We've got a lot of neighborhoods, we've got a lot of homes that could use some help. If we worked and we pulled our resources together, we could get a lot out of that. The Chamber of Commerce, it does some great work. I think that the city, though, instead of kind of separating it out and giving a lot of the burden to the Chamber of Commerce and paying them nearly $2 million a year, I think it would be really great is if we had a lot of business people who want to get involved. And trust me, I have many of them who've come to talk to me about this during the election. We get the business people more involved. We have them form committees, and instead of the chamber or instead of city council members going and bringing businesses in, you get the business people to do it because they are more than willing. And if you get professionals who are doing it for a living, who know what the city has to offer, knows the transportation, the education, the houses that we can live in, and knows the community, those are the ones that you want to sell your city. We need to engage with them much more.
Thank you. And now the mayoral candidates can just sit back and relax. These next couple of questions will go to the District 3 candidates. And we'll begin with David Gutierrez will begin for question number 1, and Mr. Webb will start with question number 2. Okay, question number 1. What shortcomings do you believe exist in District 3, and how do you propose to correct them?
I feel that what we need to do is I need to have some town hall meetings. And those are some of the things I believe, and in the overall things with town hall meetings, I want to meet the voters and the people of that district, to let them know what the city is doing, what they need to know what the city's doing, what they feel that the city should be doing. This way they can be informed. I want to have the people be involved. I want the city of Irving also to be involved with the people of the District 3. I feel that by being involved, one can be very productive, and we can get some great results. This way, when meetings are being held here, the people that have elected us can always say, well, they know what they're doing. We elected them. That they know we're responsible for them, and also they can be assured that what we're going to do is going to be very good for them. By doing the town hall meetings, also we'll get to meet on a one-to-one basis. I see that. I want to. That's something that I want to know. Not only that, but of course they got issues about the budget, issues about taxes, issues about everyday things there. I've come across individuals that have complaints because, number one, there's not sufficient lighting in their area. Some of their relatives or husbands, wives, daughters work at night, and there's some areas in the city that require some lighting. I've also noticed that in some of our walkways in the city intersections, there's the walkways. I see that the white lines need to be worked on. I just feel that nowadays we need a little bit more of concern about. There's a lot of people walking on the streets, riding bicycles, enjoying the city of Irving. I see it that I've been seen close to an area where people almost got hit by a car. So those are the things that I'm looking for. I'm looking for safety. I'm looking for that people have health and have a good stability life on there, and through those things, with town hall meetings.
Thank you. For those of you who are texting out there, could you please make sure that your phones are not making any noise? It is a little distracting. And let's see, Mr. Webb, same question.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I can think of 3 that stays in my mind. One, the majority of District 3, a lot of it, let me change that, lies with the airport property lies within the city limits of Irving, a lot of District 3. There's a lot of the airport property in District 3 that basically is unsightly. If you ride down Estes Road and you look out across where they had tore out all those houses and you see high grass, and I think one of the things that District 3 needs is we need to find out and we need to know what's the plan for all of that vacant property that's right across the street from all those residential properties. That's one of my concerns, and I think that we really need to, and I'm not sure if they're doing it now because I'm not on the council, so I don't have, I'm not privy to that information, but I think we really need to find out from the airport what are their plans. You know, I know there's some zoning on that property whereby that property could end up being used for industrial uses. And so I think that we need to make sure that we don't allow District 3 to, you know, have that. The other thing is, you know, there's like 55 apartment complexes in District 3. And when you start talking about 55 apartment complexes in one district, and you start talking about over the years, those apartment complexes will begin to deteriorate, you got a crime haven just waiting to happen. And I think that that's something that we really need to, you know, take a look at, is what do we do about that many apartment complexes? A lot of them look nice now, you know, but 10, 15 years from now, you know, what are you going to do when you got that many apartment complexes? So I think we need to really begin to take a look at that. And then finally, this is kind of something that's kind of, you know, bothered me is, you know, when I was a kid, I grew up in Bear Creek, and we used to have to ride our bicycles to Northwest Park to go swimming. And, you know, and I used to have to ride across Airport Freeway, and you got to understand, Esther's Road wasn't what Esther's Road is today. It was a little blacktop road. And it's my understanding that the swimming pool at Northwest Park has been closed. And I think, and I understand the aquatic center mentality, but I think that there still exists a need for community swimming pools, whereby, you know, kids can right there in their own neighborhoods either walk or ride a bike and go swimming. I don't think everybody does not want to go to an aquatics park. So I think that's one thing that we need to take a look at in District 3 is, you know, if that swimming pool is closed, if the city plans to keep it closed, I think we need to open it back up for the residents of the neighborhood so that these kids can actually just walk to a swimming pool and they can just have something that's a little bit more, you know, tangible for their use. So those are kind of the three shortcomings that I see in District 3.
Okay. The next question for District 3 candidates, and Mr. Webb, you'll start with this one. How do you plan to balance the needs of your district versus the needs of the entire city?
Well, of course, the needs of my district affects the entire city. So any decisions that's made for the betterment of District 3 has to be made with the city in mind. In other words, to give you an example, you know, when you start talking about, you know, budget and money, and there's so much money that goes around, I cannot, you know, think that I can take a whole lot of money and just put it in District 3 and forget about the rest of the city's needs. So I've got to be conscious of the fact that, you know, any needs in District 3 has to be looked at in the larger perspective of the whole city needs. Also, when I look at the fact that I'm representing a specific district, I do know I'm representing a specific district, but also I'm representing all of the citizens of Irving. And so, again, kind of back to my first point, every decision I make, every time I look at something related to District 3, I got to ask myself, how does this affect District 7, District 5, whatever? And so that's kind of my mindset about looking at, you know, the things that I'm going to be doing, you know, to balance the needs of District 3 with those of the city. If District 3 is taken care of, then I think the city is taken care of. That's kind of it in a nutshell.
Okay. Now, Mr. Gutierrez, same question.
I have walked about 3/4 of my district, of District 3, since almost about 2 months already. And the issues in that district are the same issues throughout the city. We all think the same. We all looking for the same thing. We're looking for a better city. We're looking for a better budget. We're looking to make sure that our monies are spent wisely. The people are in a budget as well, and they want to know and they want to make sure that the city does the same thing too. There's businesses in that area as well. You can go down all the way down from Rock Island Road and Beltline all the way to 114. There's businesses as well. There's businesses all over the city, down MacArthur, down 183, you name it. So all of the things that are in District 3 are in the same in the city. Decisions are made there in District 3 are the decisions made for the city. So if I represent District 3, I'm representing the city as well, because there's no difference. There's no difference. The only difference is that those people in District 3 only vote for Dennis Webb or David Gutierrez. And that makes an equal representation for the city as well. But everybody at this point will have a voice. And I'm working for that. And I'm looking to be in the city council because I know that I can complete this job and I can be your best city council person that I can be. Thank you very much.
All right, now the District 3 candidates can sit back for a few, and these next two questions will be for the mayoral candidates. And we'll start with Beth for this first question. What actions do you propose to assure that the entertainment center is financially viable and will not negatively impact the city budget? Please include information regarding the current legal proceedings.
I think the first thing that we need to do is a full fiscal audit to find out where our money has been spent. If you look at the $25 million the city has currently spent on this entertainment center and the fact that we have nothing other than pretty drawings out of it, it's questionable, to say the least. It just does not pass the smell test. Look at the invoices. See who's gotten paid. There are dozens of consultants who are paid anywhere between $7,000 and $11,000, $11,000 a month that you've got listed just consulting fees. There's no scope of service. I haven't seen contracts. I haven't seen deliverables. We need to find out where our money is going. The other thing I think is really important is instead of just building everything at one time, is it viable? Do we have a plan B? Are we taking business away and competing with our current business? Does the city really have the bandwidth to be in the entertainment industry, the restaurant industry, the music industry? Really? Because I don't know about anybody else up here, but I don't think we do. I think we are in way over our heads. I'm sick of us being on Channel 8 being investigated about it. What I want to make sure is that we have a center down there, that we have economic development down by our convention center. We spent over $200 million on this convention center. We need to be able to have something that will generate business there. Now, depending on what numbers you looked at, what numbers you hear, I've heard that the convention center currently has done between 40,000 and 70,000 people visited it in the last 4.5 months, 5 months that it's been opened. In order for this entertainment center to even break even, they have to have 9,000 people a day visit. So if you look at even the most generous estimates of the 70,000 people that have visited the convention center, there's less than 2 weeks of business there. We need to figure out a way to generate money there so that we are not creating the same issues across the street that we have over in our D-Curt area, which is you have debt that the city has not been able to pay down, that area that the landowners have not been able to pay down, and creating it on another separate piece of property across the street. Las Colinas does have a huge ability to be able to pay revenues and generate a lot of money, a lot of business for the city. We need to make sure that we don't ruin it. If you look at the money that we've spent there, it's horrendous. Let's look at maybe not having a huge entertainment center with a huge performance venue that have failed all over the country. I really encourage people. There was a New York Times article March 16th that talked about cities across the country who are trying to do exactly what we've done, who've paid millions of dollars, not nearly as much as we're talking about paying, but have paid millions of dollars, that now are not seeing the profits come in, now are not seeing the numbers. And the city is now having to fire people, it's having to cut back its services, and it's having to increase property. Because even though they said that user fees were going to pay for it, when the users don't go, the city still has the debt services to pay off. And we need to make sure that what we're doing is reasonable and get that land, by the way, back on the tax roll. Because right now, as long as the city owns it, we're not getting paid anything for it, and we're not seeing development.
Thank you. Again, in answering the question, and you can do this in the closing if you want, would you please include some information regarding the current legal proceedings for voter education? Thank you.
Irving's been in the entertainment business for over 40 years, and we blew up our entertainment venue. If you live outside of Irving, there's no reason now to come to Irving for entertainment. Used to, you could catch a football game, a concert, a wrestling match, a motocross, a festival. That dynamic is an important part of the fabric of our largest industry in Irving. The hospitality industry employs more people than any other industry in Irving. We have more hotels than the city of Fort Worth. Only the cities of Houston and Dallas and San Antonio in the state of Texas have a larger hospitality industry than the city of Irving. It's a critical component that we put out to the voters in 2007, and 67% of the voters said, get it done. The convention center is not $200 million, it's about $140 million. This project, we've spent $25 million, which is under budget, I might add, according to all the experts and the overseers. The project's been audited by independent CPA firms. It was overseen by a 100-year-old Beck construction company that's created projects all over the Metroplex, as well as our own city staff. We have a lot to show for it. You just don't build a building by going out and popping up sticks. It takes engineering. It takes site engineering, building engineering, sound engineering. You've got design work. You've got to look at every aspect of parking, every piece of utilities, every way that this building's going to be serviced. And that work has been done by the finest experts under budget. And it's been audited. And the project's been measured. And the industry has labeled it a category killer, which has brought forward the City of Grand Prairie's venue, which is in our category, that's going to die, to try to kill this project. People have been paid millions of dollars to create a media frenzy against this project by a competitor, Anschutz Entertainment Group. We haven't even yet constructed the financial model. We're in legal proceedings right now to verify tax rebates and other revenue streams that we pursued to make sure we could afford this project. This project will not be a burden to the taxpayers of Irving. In fact, it's forbidden by state law to use the taxpayers of Irving money to fund this Brimer bill debt for this project. When it's completed, it will be paid for 100% by the users, and revenues are projected to provide 2 times the revenue necessary for the debt service on a building that we will own. And it'll be just like Texas Stadium. It'll be built without 1 penny of the taxpayers' money going into the project. It'll be operated for 30, 40, or 50 or more years. And when it's done, we'll tear it down and own one of the most valuable pieces of real estate in the Metroplex. Just like the model that we created with the success of the entertainment business that we've been in for 40 years. So it's critical that we get that project done. It means hundreds of millions of dollars of economic impact and 2,000 jobs for our city. So it's the kind of success that we're looking forward to in the Urban Center.
Thank you. And now the second question for the mayoral candidates. What plans will you propose or support to retain current businesses and recruit new businesses? Please include the impact of TIFs and tax abatements.
Well, you know, we're in a competitive environment. You know, we used to be the best location because we had the most infrastructure, the nicest infrastructure, closer to the airport. But there are a lot of communities now that have what we have with regards to proximity to DFW. So we find ourselves in a competitive environment. You know, we chose 25 years ago to invest half of our sales tax revenues into the mass transit system, into DART. The cities that didn't do that has those revenues, you know, to use in all of their recruitment efforts. So we make do with what we have. We highlight our location. We market our city in lots of ways through our Visitors Bureau and as well through the Chamber of Commerce. You know, the efforts that we engage in with our chamber has resulted in that organization being the only 5-star accredited Chamber of Commerce in the entire state of Texas. That's little old Irving in the entire state of Texas. So, you know, that's another source of pride, you know, that we all share in this community is how well, you know, we've operated the mechanisms that are in place that cause these things to happen, that cause us to be able to recruit, you know, new businesses and retain new businesses. You know, it's important. You know, Beth mentioned the schools, that we have an educated workforce. You know, and as I stood on the stage and shook 2,000 graduating seniors' hands, you know, I thought about, hey, where are they going to go to work? We've got to get busy. We've got to make sure that we've got a vibrant economy for those young people who want to stay in Irving and work, or who want to go to school, you know, locally and be close to their families and parents. So it's critical, you know, that we keep a focus on what are the trends, what are the challenges, what are the obstacles, and remain competitive. And we use all kinds of mechanisms, whether it's incremental financing districts or whether it's abatements or whether it's simply going out and providing a proclamation for a 30-year retiring employee, which I do often in corporations out here. It's all about building relationships. We've been able to establish Irving as a business-friendly community And that matters. And I hear about it from the CEOs and from the 8,000 small business owners that we have here who make up the largest part of our employers in town. So, you know, you've got to understand that we need to maintain a vibrant economy here in our community, or else the tax burden for all that what we have, you know, gets shifted more onto the homeowners, and that we know none of us like. So, you know, that's sort of what our responsibility is, you know, in these leadership roles, is to make sure that we're attending to the business of the city. You know, the community, we offer ourselves up for service, and the community places us in these jobs. And they say, take care of the business that comes to Irving. And we do that, and we've done it well for the last 6 years. And we've taken care of a lot of business that we never even knew we were going to have to, which means we've got more business coming our way. We've got more issues coming our way. Issues can be tough. Progress can be tough, and it requires consistent leadership. And we've seen the application of consistent leadership and the types of results that we can get. No city can create a 40% drop in violent crime in the time that we've been able to do that. So again, there's many accomplishments that all of our citizens should be proud of.
All right. Time. Ms. Van Dyne, same question, please.
Thank you. I think when you look at what our city has to offer, we are fantastically placed. We need to take more opportunity to meet with our businesses, to involve them in our decisions, and above all, to be financially sound. If we don't have a financially sound city, we're not going to get businesses to move here. We talk about, you know, we lost our entertainment center when we blew up Texas Stadium. You know, if you look at the number of venues that Texas Stadium actually hosted, it was a couple dozen a year versus the every single night venue that we're talking about building. If you look at, okay, well, if it doesn't work and, you know, when it stops being viable, we blow that new venue up, and then we're going to have the best piece of property in the city, and in the Metroplex. You know what? Look at Texas Stadium right now. We blew it up. Has anybody driven by there? Are we really proud? Have we gotten the best amount of use out of that piece of property? That piece of property has over 1 million cars that drive by it every day, and right now it's a parking lot. I don't want to see that happen to other areas of the city. We need to make sure that we are spending money wisely that will bring businesses in. We have to have professionals who are our leaders that will bring businesses in. We need to be able to work with our universities. I think University of Dallas would be a fantastic resource to use that we have not used enough to make sure that we are educating our workforce. We need to look to our neighborhoods. That is chief and foremost what people look at before they want to live here. Is it a house? Do we have our parks? We have a great park system. We have a great library system. Are we marketing that, and are we marketing it well? Are we spending our money wisely, and are we representing our citizens? Is there transparency in government? You know, when we send people to be able to represent our city, are they professional? Or do we get people who are the most involved? Are we spending our money wisely? And I think when you look at long-term what the city has to offer, we need to move up. If we need to offer tax abatements to be able to be competitive with other cities, we need to look at that, and we have looked at that. Do we need to be able to have tax incremental financing districts? Absolutely. But if we do not have the ability to pay off our debt, and we are building more and more debt that is not long-term, not sustainable, and is going to be a tax burden not only on our citizens, but also on our businesses, we need to change course. There's one thing to be consistent and have consistent leadership, and there's another thing to not admit you were wrong. And I think in the face of looking at years and years of wasted millions of dollars with nothing to show for it, look at our Heritage District. Yes, we have put down substandard apartments. Fantastic. The only thing is that while we've put down 1,000, we've also agreed to build 3,000 new apartments. The problem is, look at what we've built there. It's very little. Look at Texas Stadium. It is an empty graveyard of trucks and gravel. Look at the entertainment center, and it is, we don't even have one piece of dirt turned over. We need to be able to be much more professional.
All right, thank you all. Now we're going to conclude with closing statements. And you'll each have 2 minutes, and you may use this time also to qualify or provide additional thoughts on previously answered questions, if that's how you choose to use your time. We'll begin with the District 3 candidates and then the mayoral candidates. And Mr. Gutierrez will go first.
Now, again, thank you. Thank you. I want to thank all the people that have helped me tremendously. I can see them here. I can see all of you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. God's with us, and I have a lot of faith in God, and we're going to get through this, and we're going to win. Number two is, I guess I've been here since '87. I'm looking forward to working with the people. I've been working to make sure that the budget stays where it needs to stay, or it needs to be worked at where it needs to stay. I want to be I want to let you know that I'm very conservative with the money. I only spend what we can spend. We won't spend any more than we have to. Let's look at the projects that are going on. We'll move forward with them until we come up to some kind of consensus that all the monies are there for us to move forward in this city. We won't. The other thing is, like I said, I have 20 some odd years in my business. I look forward to working with small business because, again, the small business is the backbone of this city, and I'm one of them, and I know what they're looking for, what their needs are, and we will work for that. I look forward for the people to make sure that the work that I'm going to be doing here is because of my education background. I'm a chemist by profession education. I'm very analytical. I study everything very hard before I can make any decisions of anything. You can depend on that. I am very independent about how I do things because people expect me to do that. People that elected me, they expect me to do those things too. By being here in the city, I've lived here in the city, I love this city, I love the people, I'm working real hard, and I will continue to work hard as I work in my everyday life to better myself, but to make this city great in order for us all to be happy that we're part of the city of Irving. Please remember me on June the 18th, but even during this time until the 14th, come over here, scratch out David Gutierrez, don't exit, fill it out, and on June the 18th, do the same thing. Again, David Gutierrez. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Webb, your closing.
Boy. Yeah, simply, again, I appreciate everybody for coming down here tonight. I don't know how many of you live in District 3, but I'm just asking that tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock you come down here and you vote for Dennis Webb for Place 3 City Council for the simple reason that I want to serve the citizens of Irving the way I have been serving the citizens of Irving for about the last 25 years. I didn't serve them by accident. I served them by nature. Again, that's my nature. My nature is to serve people. And again, this is not, to me, a political position. It's a position of service. There's a lot of things in life that I could do with all that extra time that I have when I'm off from the fire station. But I've chose to devote myself. Somebody told me when I told them that I was going to run for city council, they said, Dennis, you might as well go outside and beat your head up against the wall because you're going to have the same effect. I said, well, you know, it's important enough to me to go through that, you know, torture, or go through whatever I have to go through to serve the city that I love and the city that I've been a part of and the city that I do not plan to leave. I made my last house payment on my house today, and I'm planning on staying there. And I plan on staying there in that house, and I plan on staying in District 3 because I love the community. I love the city of Irving. This is a great city, and I just want to be a part of moving this city on into the challenges of the coming decades. I do believe I've got the experience. I do believe I've got the passion and the civic service record, excuse me. And so I just ask that you would consider me for as your vote for those of you who live in District 3 as your representative, not only for District 3, but also for the entire city of Irving.
And now to the mayoral candidates. It'll be first Beth Van Dyne and then Herbert Gears.
I told people, somebody said, you know, you have less than 2 weeks left of this election. I said, I feel like I'm in my 9th month of pregnancy. I can't eat, can't sleep, got heartburn. I know we are all looking forward to this being over. I do what I say, and I say what I do. And I have consistently showed that in my 6 years of representing the city. I want you to have a mayor that you are proud of. I want you to have a mayor who you can actually have a disagreement with and not feel like you're being bullied or criticized. I want you to have a mayor who has the best interests of the city at their heart, who is committed, who's got kids in the school districts, and who's willing to work with anybody who comes up. You deserve a mayor who is not bought and paid for by special interest groups. You deserve a mayor who is independent, who will ask the tough questions, who will be consistent, and who will be a leader. When we look at someone who's spent over $500,000 in advertising for a position that pays less than $600 a month, you have to ask why. When you have a developer who is willing to spend over $300,000 on one person's campaign, you have to ask why. And it is not because they have the best interest of the city at heart, and it's not because they just really want their project to work. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm willing to work with just about anybody. Come bring me the information that you've got. I will make a pragmatic decision based on the facts. What we have right now is not that. We've got skyrocketing debt. We've got backroom deals. We've got lack of transparency in government. We've got bullying from a pulpit. We've got citizens who come down and are harassed not only when they're standing in front of you and actually have the nerve to get up and talk, because it does take a lot to get up here, but also in emails. We need to bring respect back to this position. You need to bring pride back to this position. Accountability, respectability, and responsibility. I have been your representative for 6 years, and at the end of the day, any of you can call me and you can ask me questions, and you know that what I tell you is actually how I'm going to vote and why I'm going to vote and what it would take to change my mind. I appreciate all of your respect. I appreciate your vote. I appreciate your support. And I really appreciate the decorum that we have shown here tonight. And I'm looking forward to continuing to talk only about the issues that are important to you, not throwing any mud, and really keeping this race something that the rest of the city can be proud of. I really appreciate your support, and I'm asking for your vote.
Thank you. Could you?
We're almost finished, so hold it for just another 2 minutes.
I feel like I need a shower from all that mud that just hit me. She said she wasn't going to throw at me. But
Excuse me, Miss Van Dyne just a minute ago thanked us for the decorum, and I respect her for that comment, and I'd like us all to just hold the decorum till the end. Thank you.
I'm going to disagree with some of the things that Beth has said, of course, and agree with some things. She just said she served you as your representative for 6 years, so if she created $500 million in debt, then she ought to be held accountable for that. The problem is it's not true. We just don't have that kind of debt. I think that's real nice. Is that your son? The decorum. The rating agencies. The rating agencies. The rating agencies that.
Should we start over, please? You've been very good up till now. Now let's give, if you'd like to leave now, it's okay, but let's finish out the evening giving Mr. Gears an opportunity to speak.
You don't get a double AAA rating, from these financial agencies by having those types of debts and large increases in debts. And plus the mayor doesn't do those things anyway. That's the council as a body, which we served on together, for 5 years. So that's just some things that need to get corrected. It takes a lot of money, to get out there and correct that story. Beth's also spent, a lot of money on this campaign and putting out that type of information. And it's unfortunate because it looks bad on our community. And, I love Irving. And that's the worst part about these campaigns is you have to sort of drag down Irving if you want to drag down the mayor. And so if you want to be mayor real bad, those are the kind of things we see. I agree with Beth. We shouldn't be spending money foolishly. I don't think it's right, for the city, to pay for any council person's, family trip to Disney World, for example. I don't like that. Doesn't matter who it is. I think it's inappropriate. I don't think it's appropriate for elected officials, to come in after they leave office and file 4 years' worth of expense reports, for $12,000 worth of money that comes from the taxpayers. About half of that, the city just decided not to pay. They got tired of paying it. So you talk about transparency and accountability. I mean, if I'm an elected official and I'm not filing my travel reports for 4 years after I get out of office, well, certainly you're not going to know much about my travel habits, which, of course, is not being transparent or being honest. And so it's true, that this is a job of service. This is a job of commitment. And I don't think I'm not qualified for the job because I don't have children, you know, in the Irving ISD. I hope all of you feel qualified to serve in this role if you don't have children in the Irving ISD. But certainly, I would say the first thing that someone looks at when they think about moving to Irving, if they have young children, is the school district. And so that's why we continue to keep those priorities as well. So I appreciate your vote coming out for this runoff. Thank you.
And thank you. You may now applaud. Okay. To the candidates, I want to thank you all very much for your participation in the forum. We greatly respect and thank you for your opportunity to provide our citizens with good, solid information about your positions. And before I turn it back to Mona Wyatt for the wrap-up, I just want to say one thing. Go Mavs.
Yes, you're not going to miss very much of the game, I don't think. So thank you all again for being here tonight, and especially for being attentive, for being quiet. And we hope that you will use the information you've learned here tonight to vote informed. Thank you.